Level 1. The Recruit. The envelope arrives on a Tuesday. No return address. Inside, a single card with a time, a location, and 3 words. You have been selected. You tell yourself it is an honor. You have worked toward this since your second year at university. The quiet professor who noticed your aptitude for languages, the anonymous aptitude tests, the background checks you were not supposed to know were happening. You have been watched for 2 years before this moment. You just did not see it. Now you are sitting in a beige office in a building that does not appear on any public registry, across from a man in a gray suit who never gives you his name. He slides a document across the table. 40 pages. You have 20 minutes to read it. You sign. The training begins the following Monday. They strip everything familiar from you first. Your phone is replaced. Your apartment is reassigned. Your family is told you have accepted a position in federal administration. That is not entirely wrong. You are given a number before you are given a rank. The physical training is brutal but expected. What surprises you is the other part, the psychological conditioning. Hours of scenario testing, loyalty simulations, instructors who deliberately contradict each other to see how you handle ambiguity. There is no correct answer. There is only the answer that reveals who you are. You learn quickly, never reveal who you are. You graduate with 19 others. You remember all their faces. You will not see most of them again. Your first assignment is surveillance, low-level domestic monitoring. You sit in a van for 11 hours a day, listening to phone calls from a regional journalist who wrote one uncomfortable editorial about a local official. The journalist is not dangerous. You know this. Your supervisor knows this. It does not matter. You file your reports. You write what you heard. You do not editorialize. You go home. You do not talk about your day. You are 24 years old, and you already know that the work is not about truth. It is about evidence of compliance. Level 2. The Operative. 18 months in, you get a transfer. Field operations, domestic division. Your salary increases to 85,000 rubles a month. Not remarkable, but stable. What matters more is the access. You now carry credentials that open doors, literal ones. You can enter a building, show your card, and watch people step aside. You are assigned a handler, senior officer, 10 years in. He teaches you more in 6 weeks than the academy did in 6 months. The first rule he gives you is never ask why, ask what and when. Your work now involves assets, people who provide information in exchange for protection, for debt forgiveness, for immigration papers for a cousin. Nobody uses the word informant. You call them contacts. They call you nothing. They do not know your real name. You run 3 contacts simultaneously: a city bureaucrat, a telecom technician, and a mid-level manager in a foreign-affiliated logistics firm. None of them knows the others exist. None of them thinks of themselves as a spy. They think of themselves as people doing a favor for a man who can make problems disappear. You handle a tense moment in the 3rd month. Your logistics manager gets nervous, threatens to stop cooperating. You sit across from him in a coffee shop near the Kievsky station. You do not threaten him. You simply remind him of certain facts about his financial history. You speak quietly. You stir your coffee. He agrees to continue. You drive home and feel almost nothing. That is when you understand something has already begun to change in you. You rationalize it simply. You are protecting national stability. These people provide information. Nobody gets hurt. The journalist from your first assignment never lost his job. The manager still goes home to his family. You tell yourself this for a reason. Level 3. The Specialist. You are selected for additional training. 12 weeks. A facility outside the city. You do not know the exact location. You are driven there in a vehicle with blackout windows. What you learn there covers electronic penetration, social engineering, identity construction, and what they call behavioral leverage. You emerge with a new designation. You are now a specialist in counterintelligence operations. Your targets change. No more disgruntled journalists. Now you are monitoring foreign nationals, embassy staff, NGO directors, journalists with foreign credentials. You build full identity profiles, behavioral maps. You identify pressure points. It takes you 4 months to compromise a cultural attaché at a Western European embassy. You do not do it with threats, you do it with patience and with the slow cultivation of what feels to him like friendship. You have drinks with him 14 times before he gives you anything useful. By then, he trusts you. By then, it is already too late for him. When the file closes, your supervisor tells you, "Clean work." That is the highest compliment you have received in this organization. You receive a new apartment, 78 square meters in a quiet district. You receive a car allowance. You receive a second set of credentials for a cover identity. You begin to understand that there are 2 versions of you now, the official one and the real one, and the distance between them is growing every month. Level 4, the senior officer. 5 years in. You have a team of 4 beneath you. You do not think of them as subordinates. You think of them as instruments. This is not coldness, it is efficiency. You have learned that attachment creates vulnerability, and vulnerability creates exposure. Your operations now have real geopolitical weight. You are not monitoring individuals anymore. You are monitoring networks, organized opposition groups, foreign-funded media organizations, diaspora communities with political ties. You write threat assessments that land on desks you will never see. One of your operations requires the detention of a mid-level opposition organizer. You do not make the arrest. You simply file the assessment that classifies his activity as a threat to state security. Someone else executes the order, but you wrote the document. You tell yourself, this is what the work is. You do not make the system. You operate within it. For the first time, someone beneath you asks you a question you have asked before. Why this person? You give them the same answer you were given. Ask what and when. They nod. You watch something shift behind their eyes, the same thing that shifted behind yours. You feel nothing about this. That in itself tells you something. Your personal life has simplified. Your relationships are few and carefully maintained. You do not bring work home, not because it is policy, but because there is no version of the work that translates to normal conversation. You exist in 2 separate worlds, and the membrane between them has become permanent. Level 5, the section head. You run a section now, 11 officers, a dedicated budget, operational independence on domestic counterintelligence cases up to a defined threshold. Above that threshold, you escalate. Below it, you decide. You decide often. Your name circulates at levels you do not officially have access to. You know this because of how people behave when they meet you at internal functions, the slight recalibration, the careful politeness. You are someone worth knowing. You are also someone worth being cautious around. You manage your first major crisis in the 2nd year of this role, an intelligence leak inside your own section, low level but real. Someone is passing information laterally to a rival department through unofficial channels. You identify the source in 11 days. You do not report it through formal channels. You handle it internally, quietly, through reassignment and isolation. The officer is transferred to a regional desk in Vladivostok. No charges, no record. The message travels through the section without you saying a word. Loyalty is not discussed. It is demonstrated or it is not. You clear approximately 2.4 million rubles annually now through salary and operational allowances. You have a dacha outside the city. You have a daughter you see on alternating weekends. She is 7 years old and she knows her father works for the government and that he cannot talk about it. She once asked you if you were a spy. You told her no. Level 6, The deputy director. The appointment comes with a ceremony that is deliberately understated. No press, no photographs, a brief meeting, a handshake, a new identification document. You are now responsible for an entire operational division, 200 officers, dozens of ongoing operations, strategic-level threat assessments delivered directly to national security councils. You fly to meetings in buildings that appear on no public address. You sit across from men who make decisions that alter geography. You are one of those men now. The psychological architecture of your life has fully inverted. You no longer experience the work as something outside you. The work is the scaffolding of your identity. Remove it, and there is nothing structural left. You make a decision in your third month at this level that you will not record in any document and will not discuss with anyone for the rest of your life. It involves an operation in a neighboring country, a network of assets that had been compromised, and a choice about exposure versus containment. You choose containment. 3 people you have never met are affected by this choice. You file a redacted summary. You move to the next agenda item. You eat lunch at your desk, buckwheat and black tea. You have had the same lunch for 6 years. Level 7. The director. There are 7 people in the country who hold this level of authority within the service. You are one of them. Your name does not appear in press releases. Your movements are not published. Your schedule is managed by 2 people with their own security clearances. When you enter a room, the room changes. You no longer run operations. You architect them. You set doctrine. You approve the framework within which thousands of people make daily decisions that they believe are their own. The strange discovery at this level is that power becomes abstract. You are not powerful in the way that street-level officers experience power, the ability to physically compel, to confront, to act. Your power is structural. It lives in documents and in silence, and in the weight your approval carries when it is given, and the weight your silence carries when it is not. You attend a meeting every 6 weeks that you are never briefed on before attending. You are simply told to be present. What happens in those meetings you will never discuss. Your personal life, such as it is, exists in a separate compartment that you visit the way someone visits a storage unit, periodically, with a vague sense of obligation, briefly. You are 51 years old. You sleep between 4 and 5 hours a night and have for a decade. You feel nothing unusual about this. Level 8. The ghost. There is no ceremony for this. One day you exist within the institution, the next you exist above it. Your rank is not listed in any internal directory. Your pension is structured through a legal entity that exists across 3 jurisdictions. You have not carried identification in 4 years. You do not need to. You sit in a room, sometimes in Moscow, sometimes not, and you receive information. You make assessments. You communicate through intermediaries. The people who act on your conclusions do not know your name. They do not need to. You have become the thing the system always told you it was protecting against, a single point of invisible influence with no accountability structure, no oversight mechanism, no external check. You understand now the final truth of the institution, that it does not exist to protect the state from its enemies. It exists to ensure that power, once captured, is never returned. Every operation, every surveillance file, every compromised official, every suppressed network, all of it is infrastructure, not for ideology, for permanence. You knew this somewhere at level 3. You did not let yourself think it clearly until now. The view from here is quiet. You eat breakfast at the same time every morning. You read, you think, you occasionally transmit a single sentence that sets something in motion that will not resolve for years. You have not been afraid in a long time. You are not certain whether that represents strength or the absence of something essential. You remember the envelope on the Tuesday, the beige office, the man with no name. You think about the young officer who signed the 40-page document in 20 minutes. You think about all the things he did not know. Somewhere, a 23-year-old linguistics student is sitting across a desk from a man in a gray suit. He thinks this is the beginning of a career. He thinks he has been chosen because he is exceptional. He thinks he will still know who he is in 10 years. He signs. He will not. But he will understand it eventually. They all do.